off all these siege tanks now. Those drones really desperately trying to run for their lives. There's Wednesday Night Starcraft.
vVv Gaming going over to Infinity 7 up against vVv Titan, who is, I guess, basically the ace now of vVv Gaming.
Yeah, so we'll see what's going to happen. And now MLG Metalopolis will be game one, Zerg versus Protoss. And those of you guys who had a little bit of withdrawal or anxiety from not being able to play on Metalopolis, good news, Metalopolis is back in Season 4. If you guys have not read the articles, Metalopolis and Shattered Temple, both of them do not allow ally spawns either. So both players are going to definitely have a lot of practice on these maps, as we now see Time spawning as the blue Protoss player here at the 12 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Titan spawning as the red Zerg.
Yeah, I was definitely one of those guys who had the Metalopolis itch. I definitely wanted to see it come back to the ladder, and especially with the fix where we don't have close positions anymore, I think that's a great move by Blizzard, basically adapting the ladder map pool a little bit more towards what tournaments are doing these days. So I think that'll definitely help these players as they go to these tournaments that feature these maps. They're going to have a lot more familiarity with the map pool, and I think we're going to see better play and better strategies from the players.
Yeah, most definitely better play, better strategy. If some of you guys were following BlizzCon 2011, the BattleNet Invitational, you saw a couple games where Sen unfortunately spawned in the ally position against a Terran player, and Sen was never really able to establish his natural expand or his all-important third base after the Terran had established his second, so he was really far behind just because of the ally spawn. But now that ally spawns are no longer possible, or rather close spawns are not possible, it's going to make it for a much more interesting play, as Zerg players can establish those third base and have a little bit more breathing and maneuvering room.
Yeah, we already see classic play here coming from both our players. We see Titan starting off that gas, and then he's going to go pool immediately. And we see Time up against Zerg and PvZ not walling off. So he keeps everything close to home. We've seen him do this in the past, and it can throw a lot of players off, but I'm sure Titan has seen this countless times. And something we didn't really mention yet, as Time is a former vVv player, these guys have had a lot of practice opportunities against each other. So they should know each other's style, and I think this first game is going to be a good one.
Yeah, definitely is going to be a good one. Time most likely will be throwing down his cybernetics core now, and I am interested to see whether or not he's going to go for that crazy upgrade build that we've seen him go. I believe it's like +1 upgraded zealots with void rays, if I remember. We'll see if Time does try to go for that, or whether or not Titan knows the opening so well that he's not going to fall prey to it. As Titan now gets that metabolic boost research started, he is not mining any gas, or Titan not mining any gas. So we'll see when he's going to throw down that one particular hatchery, as Time is currently trying to block him with a probe.
Yeah, Titan's Overlord still in the base of Time. It's going to get out of there right as the first Stalker possibly be started by Time here. So Titan not going to lose that Overlord. He might actually be able to poke in and see the timing on that second gas as well, as we do see Titan getting down that hatchery. Not too much of a problem. He does have 4 lings out, so he's going to go do some initial scouting with those. And we see Time with the pylon by the ramp, so he's now going to wall off, sort of a secondary wall off. And I kind of wonder about this, what the purpose of this is. I guess it might make him a little bit easier to defend against a 6 pool or an early pool, having all of his buildings up close against his minerals like that. But now he is walling off, so not going to be too much of a danger for a ling run by.
Yeah, no real danger. The metabolic boost still having a little bit of time before it's going to be completed, so the Zerglings are going to be facing an even growing Protoss threat, as a Zealot now and Stalker does a little bit of cleaning up, and those Zerglings will be forced to run home. Zerglings most likely will park themselves at the Zelnaga Towers just a little bit later. You can see Time is running off of this additional gas now, running off of 2 gas. And we'll see whether he tries to expand or whether he tries to tech. That is going to be the next critical move, while Titan most likely will be transferring some drones over and now also getting up his second queen.
And Titan just made a big round of lings. He's got 17 lings here, and he's going to look to deny this expansion. Time just has 2 gates at the moment, 1 just finished, so he doesn't have a lot of units. His sentry only has enough energy for 1 force field, another sentry coming out, but these 17 lings I think might be able to force a cancel on this Nexus.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen. Time really needs to pick apart all of these lings here, and now units are coming in, sentries are coming in position as well. A nice group of force fields there, denying any run by 2 force fields from 2 fresh sentries. Nicely done. And now with those sentries in position, I believe this Nexus is not going to have any problems whatsoever. And all Titan can really do now is be a good Zerg player, continue to drone up, and perhaps try to get up another hatchery if time sits in his base a little bit too long.
Well, it's unfortunate that that didn't do any damage for Titan or any tangible damage, just a little bit of shields there as he wasted all these larvae, all these minerals on these Zerglings now, and he can't really do anything with them for the next several minutes. He might be able to use them to defend against some sort of timing push coming out from time, but he would really much rather have those 6 to 8 drones that he could have had instead of those Zerglings. So I think at this point, time has a major advantage getting those force fields out and defending against that early pressure.
Yeah, definitely. Time is in the advantage right now. He's in the driver's seat. He's going to be going into a Stargate now, and the Stargate play is the natural transition for this, as roaches would normally be coming out. Titan has not been able to get in a lot of gas. He's not going to be able to do get a lot of anti-air besides these queens, and with only roaches and Zerglings coming out, I believe a Void Ray or a Phoenix would be the perfect unit to just try to contain Titan just a little bit more. Titan is upgrading the tier 2 though, running now off of 2 gas in his main base, but no gas at his natural expansion.
And Titan actually put down a number of spine crawlers here. He's going to allow his third and fourth to finish, so not only is he spending larva on these early lings, but he's using those drones to make spine crawlers, and if a push doesn't come here in the next several minutes, again, that's going to be an economic waste for him. He'd much rather have those drones getting up a third gas or a fourth gas and really working on his economy in the early going. I think time at this point still ahead in supply, and Titan might be able to get back in this one, but I think he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, right now I think time definitely needs to get that all-important third hatchery up. He's already falling behind just a little bit. He is going into double evolution chambers, and now roaches also getting the ventral sacs upgrade. So I do not believe he has the pneumatized carapaces yet. So perhaps a very slow drop across these close spawning locations here by air that may become, or it may be a definite possibility. But there are going to be phoenixes out, pneumatized carapace now being started, so it may be a timing drop coming in, but first I'll have to deal with these 3 phoenixes.
And the Phoenix are interesting from time as we see them coming into the base now of Titan, as typically we see Void Rays coming out from time when he goes for Stargate. So switching it up a little bit here, and these Phoenix are going to be very annoying, picking off their first Overlord. They're going to get a lot of scatting information here as well, as Titan being forced to throw down Spore Crawlers. He's got 4 on the way, so again, another 4 drones, and he is behind in workers, 51 to 43. And at this point in the game, a Zerg player does not want to be behind, losing more and more Overlords, and Titan taking a lot of damage from these initial Phoenix.
Yeah, he does have pneumatized carapace now, but those Overlords are just constantly out of position, trying to find themselves, trying to get within the Spore Crawler, and wow, natural regeneration on an Overlord for the win there, preventing that Overlord from going down, as the Phoenixes do scout out a relatively late third coming in for a Zerg player, and also an Overlord making a quick flyby. He does see a robotics bay and a robotics facility, and now will get shot down once again.
You will see time up at 99 food, and Titan down at 63. He has been side-capped a number of times, losing Overlord after Overlord, and he's still on 46 workers. So he's going to try to get this third up and saturate it, but he's going to have a heck of a time with very few workers, as time just doing a pretty good job here. More and more Phoenix being added, and now the first Colossus coming out as well, as these Phoenix doing a little bit of a drive-by, softening up some of these Overlords. They may get one, yes they do, and now going to the main, picking up a Queen, and time doing his best to micro here, back with this Phoenix to not lose them. He does lose one, but he's going to be able to get a Queen for his trouble, and doing a lot of damage here to Titan.
Yeah, the Phoenixes are just there for harassment and nothing else. He's just trying to buy himself, just time to be able to build up a large army. Time does need to establish up another base as well, though, as Titan is going to start to get his third. You can see Spore Crawlers are going to be built, but they may get Graviton beamed first before they get there, or they know they're going to be walking very slowly off of creep, and then be able to root themselves. Spore Crawlers with a rather slow root time, only 6 seconds, compared to a 12-second root time from a Spine Crawler.
We have more and more Phoenix actually coming out. Typically a lot of Protoss will make those initial, 3 or 4 Phoenix, maybe a 5th, and do that harassment, but they often halt production of Phoenix to, do a tech switch into Colossus or Immortal Tech, whatever they scout their opponent going for. But we see more Phoenix coming out for time, so I'll be interested to see how he uses these once he gets up into the 7 to 9 range, whether he does a lot of pickups or drone harassment. right now he's being very active with them. He knows that no drones have yet been transferred over to that third, so economically speaking, he's still pretty even with Titan.
Yeah, and Time just finishing another Phoenix here, so he will have about 7 Phoenixes in the air in his opponent's base. There are 2 Colossi and a couple Zealots as well, so the Colossi do have the extended thermal lance extended thermal lance ranges and also level 1 weapons upgrade. I don't see a Twilight Council, so no level 2 as of yet, but this is a pretty formidable force, and Time may be able to get off a lot of damage if he plays this right. Titan does have 4 spine crawlers though, so those spine crawlers, even though they have less of a range than those Colossi, it will buy enough time for roaches perhaps to be able to focus down and then cause a little bit of a war zone between these 2 armies.
And we should mention that infestors are coming out for Titan. He's going to have, I believe, 4 infestors out, and they do have energy, so they will be able to get those fungals. And he's also got baneling drops, so this is going to be a very interesting encounter. I think Titan's been behind economically, but if he controls this army well, gets good fungals and good baneling drops, he could pull back into this one.
Yeah, but right now getting Graviton Beam on a Infestor, that's not what you want to see. And now Time just pushing in with a rather large army. The Baneling drops look like they will be coming in, but Force Fields may be coming in as well. What's going to be happening? Fungal growths, Graviton Beams, and the Baneling drops are hitting a lot of those tightly grouped units, but it's only Stalkers as the Roaches are now pushing in as well. Infestors are being forced to pull back here. Not enough energy, and it's going to be a little bit of a trade here as the Roaches are on creep and able to get in a lot of damage onto those Colossi and Stalkers.
Yeah, the defensive advantage here for Titan just huge as a wave of roaches come out, able to help clean all this up. And these Phoenix still have a lot of energy, so I'm not sure why they weren't picking up roaches there. They were doing a lot of damage to Overlords, but now we're going to have Titan opportunity to counterattack here. He's going to have to take on the front wall of Time, but it looks like Time going to be going for the third instead. There is a little bit of saturation here, not full saturation for Titan, so Time going to hope to shut down his economy at that third base, perhaps.
Yeah, I think Titan definitely the victor in that battle. You can see the food count now, 126 compared to 99. You can see that Time is sitting on a lot of minerals and a fair amount of gas, and he still doesn't have his 4th base, now finally establishing it. But it may be a little bit too little too late as long as Titan is able to capitalize on it. He does have a drone advantage, 65 drones compared to 57 probes. And the Queens definitely need to be replaced, though, as Titan did take a little bit of a production hit by losing one of those critical Queens, and also surprised that Titan doesn't have a macro hatch anywhere on the map. He's definitely going to need a macro hatch if he tries to go into the late game, as we can now see more Infestors are being added, more melee attacks being added as well, and look at this, a Dark Shrine coming in from Time.
Yeah, I don't think Titan's really been able to use a macro hatch at this point, as his economy has been 2 base for so long. He's just now getting this third base up and running fully. He's at 69 harvesters. And I think in that encounter, we really need to mention that Time had those 7 Phoenix, and he didn't do too much besides picking up that initial Infestor. Those 7 Phoenix, you know, if he had just gone for 3 Phoenix, he could have had another 2 Colossi. That would have been huge to take out the Roach numbers and the Roach reinforcements. So Time, I think, didn't really do a huge amount of damage and a good job with those Phoenix, which he had invested in.
Yeah, really, really important. We'll see what's going to be going down now as the Phoenixes are still trying to fly around. The Phoenixes need to find a role, and that's just one of the issues with Phoenixes in general, or just anti-air fire only. Without a way to really deal damage to ground units, those Phoenixes are a very expensive unit, 250 resources each, and all they're really doing right now is taking pop shots at Infestors, and now it looks like they're going to get destroyed by fungal growths and infested Terrans.
So at least they'll use up a little bit of energy here by these Infestors, as it looks like Titan does have 6 Infestors out, and he's got enough for, I believe, 3 fungal growths at the moment, so probably doesn't want to engage until he's got a little bit more energy, though he could use those all-powerful infested Terran as well. But Time has gotten up on 3 bases, Titan just trying to establish his 4th at this point, so I think both players just sort of feeling each other out in the mid-game, and Titan may be going for a little bit of a push here as he's got a 40 supply advantage over Time.
Yeah, a 40 supply advantage. He also has a lot of minerals and gas in the bank, so he will be able to replenish that army. Overlords are also going to be joining in on this fight, so we'll see if it's going to be some sort of elevator drop, and it looks like it is going to be a doom drop here straight into the base, just trying to pick up all the units and carry them into the main base. All the Infestors, however, not coming in for that drop at all, as Titan now going to be shutting down the main production of Time by taking down all of these gateways.
Yeah, it looks like we might have a counter into the third as Time does try to defend this, and now he's going to have to pull back here with these Colossi so he doesn't lose any, doing a nice job microing those back, only losing shields, and Titan has yet to attack the third. He really needs to get on that third to do some damage there, as he really lost his opportunity. He did that Doom drop, didn't do too much damage in the main, but he moved that army, and now he's pushing into the third of Time, hoping to take it down, but I think he's going to be a little bit late here to do any huge damage, as we do have a number of fungal going off on these probes, as wow, a lot of economic damage. I was totally wrong. Titan was able to get some sick fungals, and he took down almost all the probes at that third, so did the economic damage he needed, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to get home with these infestors.
Yeah, those stalkers just finished with Blink. They're going to be able to clean up all of these infestors, and I don't think this is a victory for Titan this time around. Titan losing a lot of those infestors. Infestors, very expensive units. Infestors, those units that you want to keep alive. But we also see Titan now transitioning into Ultralisk. Ultralisk now only taking 55 seconds to build instead of 70. We're also seeing the Katona's planning upgrade in addition to the level 2 Carapace, so those Ultralisks will be able to deal a lot of damage. Unfortunately, this isn't Heart of the Swarm. They're not going to be able to burrow and then pop back up right underneath the feet of those Colossi.
And when Titan put pressure on that third for Time, Time actually was able to take out the fourth of Titan in the south. So Titan having to remake that now. He's also adding a fifth base in what would be the main in the southern position. But you were right, he does have these Ultralisks out, and they do have 2-1 upgrades at the moment. He has yet to get any of the Roach upgrades, so he's going to be pushing out here with a kind of mild upgrades, but he's got a decent army compared to Time. He's at 196 against the 167, and Time looks like he wants to be aggressive here, pushing out to the center of the map, and we've got a lot of Banelings coming in here for Titan.
Yeah, Time is going to try to utilize these Colossi. Colossi very strong on a map like Metalopolis just because they can walk up and down these cliffs. Your main base and your third base very close together for those Colossi. Just because they can walk up and down those cliffs, even if you have buildings in the way, you can just simply pad around them, as the Zealots and now even the Archons coming in. So Archons being merged from Dark Templars instead. And now we'll see what's going to be happening here as the Ultralisks and Banelings are now trying to make their way in.
Well, the Banelings don't have speed and they don't have drops either, so the Banelings going just very slowly into the army of Time, and it might actually be enough for Titan. He's trying to micro back. He's got Blink at this point, so doing a little bit of Blink micro, doing a little bit of attack shoot micro with these Colossi, and he's able to take down the majority of Titan's forces. Titan is trying to remax here with Lings and Roaches, but I think with these 5 Colossi, Time is going to be able to take on any sort of defense here. As long as he's able to split these forces and Titan doesn't get a good surround, it's 143 against 144, but Time is taking out the 4th and the 5th base of Titan.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Titan at all. We do see a large round of Zerglings now trying to come in, and the armies have been replenished just a little bit, but Time also getting reinforcements as well, as Stalkers are warping in back home, and it looks like Time will be able to finish up, yes, the 4th, and the 5th base, and now the Roaches are just desperately trying to run home. Titan, without a very strong creep spread, is not going to be able to get to the party nearly as quickly as he needs to.
Yeah, and it looks like Titan going to be going for a little bit of a counter here, and I think at this point it's probably his best move. He can't really defend. He's going to have to try to remax back at home, engage in a big open area. He's got to take down these Colossi. There's still 5 of them there. They do have 3-1 upgrades, so doing 21 damage times 2 attacks at a range of 9 at this point. I think the chat wanted to see the APM of both players. It's 117 for Titan and 108 for Time, so even with the revision to the APM, both players moving pretty quickly. And now we have Titan doing some long distance mining from the gold base, so I think he's in trouble. He needs to engage and try to take down Time's army as soon as possible.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen here. This Protoss Death Ball, very, very strong, as another Nexus now coming in. Drones now doing a bit of long-distance mining in the center, as I believe you mentioned, and we'll see whether or not any of these drones get picked off. A hatchery looks like it wants to be placed down, but the Colossi are going to be able to come in here, blink in, and now do even more economic damage. This is not looking good. The hatchery does get canceled. The drone will most likely get destroyed. There it goes. Just a lot of damage being dealt, and now all the Roaches and Ultralisks are coming back. Infestors are being added, and we are getting Neural Parasite, but it may be too little too late.
Yeah, Titan's going to have to find an angle to engage here. He needs a big wide open area so he can get a surround, so he can get those Ultras in right away, and he needs to be able to focus down these Colossi, as they are the major damage dealers right now for Protoss. They've got a pathway of Archons in the front doing some tanking for them. A lot of shields on those Archons still, so Titan's going to have to look for an opportunity. He's about even on food, but he is definitely behind in the economy. It's 42 Harvesters against 47, and this is a bad position for Titan. He does not want to engage here as he very smartly pulls back.
Yeah, Time was very smart in that engagement. He blinked back, and then he allowed the Stalkers and the Colossi to just finish up anything that continued to try to chase. Titan still trying to reestablish one more hatchery. He's trying to do so. I don't believe he's going to be able to. The hatchery does go down. It may get canceled once more, and this is still not looking good. Archon's now walking up the ramp. A lot of Colossi, some of them in the red, but with full shields, they are still a very, very formidable foe, especially with that range of 9 and level 2 weapons up, or level 3 weapons upgrade, as Archons once again being added in, and now a 47 damage per attack with Bio Splash. This is looking just absolutely great for Time, as Titan is in trouble.
Yeah, Time forcing the encounter here, but he's got Titan up in a corner, and this is not where you want to be as a Zerg player. You want all that that area, the surface area, to get a good surround, and there's the quick GG from Titan, as that encounter was not going to go well for him. And Time able to take out his former teammate in Titan and start things off right for Infinity 7 with a win.